Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Natalia Leigh. I'm an indie author and the managing editor at Enchanted Ink Publishing, and today we are talking about how my book release went. So if you didn't know, I recently released my first ever romance novel, and I am writing my romance books under a pen name. So I won't be revealing the title of the book or holding it up for you or doing any screen share or anything like that because I am keeping that pen name private. But if you didn't know, I published a book, and now we are going to sip some tea and talk about how it went, what some of my goals are, maybe what I did differently from previous book releases and all that good stuff. So go ahead and get a snack or a drink and let's settle in and talk about how my book release went. I'm gonna take another sip of throat coat tea, which will take us into my very first point or thing that I want to talk about, which is that unfortunately I got sick right before my book release. I don't know if you can hear it. I can hear it in my voice. I can feel it, but I still have a bit of a like raspy, rough voice from this cold that I got. I came down sick 2 Sundays ago. So it has been just over a week. I think I've been sick for about 9 days. And my body is feeling fine, but I still have a sore throat, and yeah, so you might hear that. So that's the first thing that happened, is that unfortunately I did get sick right before my release. And I was a bit bummed out because Greg and I were going to go out to a fancy dinner to celebrate my publication, and we still haven't done that just because I still haven't been feeling quite up to par, and I don't want to like waste my special celebratory dinner when I'm not feeling in tip-top shape. So okay, so let me just get you kind of caught up on what I published and what I've been working on if you don't know. So I published the first book in a paranormal romance trilogy. I am planning on it being a trilogy, and like I said in the introduction, I published it under a pen name for a variety of reasons. If you are considering using a pen name and you want to know why I decided to use one, I will put that video down below as well. So yeah, this was my first experience dipping my toes into the romance genre, and I discovered that I absolutely love it. And I also discovered that, I just wrote on my chair with pen, I also discovered that I believe I have looked at romance wrong pretty much my whole writing life. I think it's easy for many people to hear like, oh, that person is a romance writer, and to think that that makes them lesser for some reason. I don't know if it's because it's romance, so people think that it doesn't have as much story to it, or if they think that it's just kind of formulaic, or what it is. I'm not even sure what I thought before I started writing romance. But I have learned that it has actually really opened up kind of my inspiration and my creativity, because now I can tell the exact same stories that I've wanted to tell, but with a mature spin on them. I have always enjoyed putting romantic subplots into my books, and now I can bring those plots a bit more to the forefront of the stories that I'm telling, and that more adult and like more mature take on the story and on the storytelling has felt really good to me. Like, it has just felt like a really good fit. And I have realized that by allowing myself to really explore romantic relationships within my stories, it has just given me a well of creativity to draw from. And I'm absolutely loving it. So that is what I've been working on, if you didn't know, and that is what I just recently published and that we're going to be talking about. So this book, let's take you back. I just published this book mid-October. It's been out for just over a week now, but this book I started working on last year in 2022. It was early summer of 2022, And the first video in which I talked about this was the video titled I Outlined a Trilogy This Weekend, I think is what it's called, because I remember so clearly just sitting down and suddenly having all these ideas and just writing out kind of like a vague outline for an entire romance trilogy. So I started working on this in June of 2022. I worked on it for a while, and then I got hit with a bunch of editing work. I ended up having to take on extra projects, and I believe I was working weekends again, and my schedule got completely full, and that was something that really took me away from the writing process. So after working on it for a while, that work stuff hit, and suddenly I wasn't writing anymore, and it took quite a while to get back into it. I worked on the book from about June to July of 2022. Work hit, and I stopped writing. I stopped doing YouTube. All I could do was focus on my editing projects. That's all I could do for pretty much all of August. And then I didn't pick this book back up until March. So if we want to consider like the actual active writing time that I spent on it, it was June and July. So June to July. So that was about 1 month. And then I picked it up in March to April, May, June, July, August, September. I was done with it in September, so 7 months about. The entire process from outline to publication was 16 months, and about 7 of those were spent actively working on my book. So for me, having come from a multi-year hiatus from publishing anything, my last publication was Pistol Daisy, and that was years ago. Being able to write and publish a book within 7 months is a huge accomplishment for me. It kind of blows me away to even say that, because I had not ever put it together until just now. So yeah, 7 months from beginning to end on that book, and that is just awesome. I'm very excited that I have been able to tap into my creativity again and tap into the storytelling side of me. I was afraid for years, just kind of like this little coal of simmering fear, that I would not be able to write again because I edit full time. And there is a huge difference between what I used to do, which was I had a pet sitting business before what took the world by storm, and my entire business crumbled overnight. So there's a huge difference between when I used to do pet sitting and then I would write in my free time versus working on books and being in front of the computer for my day job. I don't have as much creative energy as I used to, and I also have more screen fatigue now. So there are definitely more difficulties in terms of sitting down and working on my own books, but I have overcome that fear of not ever being able to write or publish again. So this book was not only my first dive into romance, which I have found I absolutely love, but it was also a very kind of healing and enlightening process for me, because it proved that I can still write and publish books while editing full-time for clients. And some days I don't have it in me to write. Some days I have eye pain or, headaches from the computer screen, so I can't sit down on the computer and write. I have not tried dictation yet, but despite all that, I can still do it. So that in and of itself is quite an accomplishment and something that I am very proud and excited about. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the release. The book came out just over a week ago, and I decided to publish on Amazon, and the ebook is published through Kindle Unlimited. So if you don't know, KU is an exclusive Amazon KDP program for ebooks. Essentially, if you put your ebook into KU, you have access to KU readers, and you have access to some pretty cool features through KDP, but you can't go and then publish your ebook on other platforms. This is my first time using KU, and I do want to film a video in the future once I have a bit more experience with it and let you know my thoughts, because of course I have published wide with all of my other projects. Granted, those were not in the romance genre, and romance is really popular. I believe it tends to sell better than many other genres just in general. So I have already seen a bit of a difference between publishing YA fantasy versus publishing a spicier paranormal romance. But I do want to sit down eventually once I have more information and share my thoughts on KU and why I may or may not, continue using it in the future. Another thing I did that different this time was I decided to use ARC services. So I did ARC copies for Pistol Daisy. I don't remember how many, and I don't think I did ARC copies for Song of the Dryad. So this time around, I did ARC services because since I am publishing under a pen name, I am essentially in the position of starting over. I had to start a brand new Instagram, start brand new social media, a new email, a new website, which I haven't even put up yet. So I was starting at zero. So I could have, opened an Instagram and blasted out to everybody, my total of 1 follower, hey, I'm looking for ARC readers, and nobody would have signed up. So, and we can talk more about that too, in terms of I really am humbled to be in a position where I am starting over again. YouTube has allowed me to reach out and, connect with so many of you, and that has, of course, benefited my book sales and benefited my author journey, but I'm starting at zero now. And I'm really having to rebuild from the ground up. And that has been an enlightening and humbling experience. And I definitely think moving forward, when I give any sort of tips on my channel about building your platform, getting reviews for your books, anything like that, I am going to have this new experience to reflect upon, since almost all of us will start from zero with social media. So I decided to use 2 ARC services, and I ended up having 25 people sign up to ARC read my book. And I was very, very happy with that number. I had seen reviews of some services where, maybe people got 1 or 2 signups, but again, romance is a very popular genre, and there are a lot of voracious romance readers. And I do feel that getting readers to give your book a chance is a little bit easier when you are writing romance, because it's such a popular genre. So I do think that helped me on these platforms. I can do a full review of these platforms at a later date once everything is done and over with, because those ARC services are still running. Out of the 25 readers I had sign up, 1 ended up pulling out because she said that she couldn't download the ebook, but I feel like that wasn't the real reason, because other people downloaded the ebook and she just never started reading. So I'm wondering if maybe she just overbooked herself or something and just decided that she didn't have time for it. So I did have 1 reader decide not to read. So that would leave me with 24 total ARC reviewers. Now, of those 24 reviewers, 9 of them have posted on Amazon, and I currently have 13 ratings and 11 reviews, I think, on Goodreads. So I do have a little bit more on Goodreads, which always happens. I think every book I have ever looked at always has way more Goodreads reviews than Amazon reviews, which is a bit of a bummer if Amazon is your main selling platform. But I have 9 reviews on Amazon. A couple of those, however, are on the Canadian Amazon, which I reached out to the ARC services and I said, is there any way that we could get these moved over to the main Amazon so that more people see them? but they explained to me kind of how that works and how reviewers can only post reviews on the marketplace in which they, you know, receive the book. So totally makes sense. I'm still at under 50% having posted, but we are only 1 week after release date. And I do think it is relatively common for reviewers to post in the weeks following a release. One of the ARC websites shows kind of like data and statistics about when people review books, and many of the reviewers on there tend to post their reviews within like 2 weeks after release. So I am hoping that more reviews come in, but I'm sitting at 9 on Amazon, and I'm happy. I'm really happy and excited with that, because it can be really hard just to get a handful of reviews with a debut novel, you know, when you're just starting out. So the fact that I have 9 on there is wonderful. And that also, I hope, will help contribute to more people buying the book. Because when you're new and you don't have a lot of reviews, people don't know if they want to take a chance on you. So I am hoping that more of those reviews come in. I'm hoping they remain positive, so that that will generally help kind of encourage other people to give my book a chance and to hopefully pick it up and read it, and fingers crossed, enjoy it. So again, because I am essentially a new debut author, I don't have a following. I don't really have a social media presence. I have, I think I already mentioned, I have started an Instagram, but it is very, very, very small. If I get 1 or 2 likes on a post, then I'm doing pretty well on that post. So I essentially have almost 0 presence on social media with this new pen name. And because of that, you know, social media at this point isn't driving any sales, or none that I am aware of at least, because pretty much no one knows that I exist. And because of that, and also because I just want to expand my knowledge, of course, as an author, I have decided to start dabbling in different types of marketing. You know, some free marketing, some paid marketing, and paid advertisements. So I am trying a few different things across the board with a small amount of money that I am putting in to see if I can get anything back. That hasn't been hugely successful as of now. I know that I have gotten a couple sales from that advertising, just because depending on who you advertise with, of course, you have like an advertising dashboard and you can see sales that come in. So I have had some success with advertising, but again, I think that I won't really see huge success with advertising until more reviews come in and more people are willing to give my book a chance. But yes, I've got no social media pretty much, got no website, and I am dabbling in advertisements. One other little exciting thing to mention is that at this point I just have paperback and ebook out, but I do have ideas for a hardback. I would love to put out kind of like you know, hardbacks that are special, like special editions that have character art in them. I think that would be amazing, and I love seeing character art. I think many readers enjoy seeing character art. So that is something that I think I would like to do once the book has generated some more sales. And something else I am looking into is an audiobook. I have never done an audiobook before, of course, but I have kind of started the audiobook process, and I am talking to a few narrators. Quite a few auditions have come in, and it just like sends goosebumps over my skin to hear such talented voice actors narrate my story. It's like after you have read your book so many times and edited it so many times, it almost becomes this thing, at least for me, where I can't get emotional about it anymore, because it's like I have touched every word in this book so many times. Like it doesn't even feel like a book anymore. But to hear somebody else give this performance, you know, take their own kind of artistic liberties with what I have written, has turned it back into a story for me. And I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it, because again, like, so many amazing auditions have come in already, and I do not know how I am going to choose who would be like the best fit to narrate this book, because there are so many talented voice actors. But I am kind of embarking on that process, and we will just see how that goes. I've never done one before, but it would be amazing to have this book out on audio as well. Okay, with all of that said, I'd like to transition a little bit now into talking about my plans moving forward and what I'm working on now and what I'm going to be working on in the coming months. So if you've been watching my vlogs, you probably know that I have been working on book 2 of this planned trilogy. Who knows? Maybe it'll be 4 books, maybe it'll be 5, but right now, thinking it's gonna be 3. So I'm working on book 2, and I haven't vlogged since I got sick. So it has been just over a week since I last picked up the camera and vlogged and let you know where I'm at. So at this point, I am just over 40,000 words into this first draft. I was so excited to hit that 40K mark because it's starting to feel a little bit heftier to me now. You know, some people, especially, I know there are going to be some of you out there who write like massive 120, 150,000 word books. And that was the case for me when I wrote Song of the DRYAD. The first draft of that was 115 or 120,000, I think. But since then, I have definitely transitioned into the underwriter category, and I tend to write much shorter books. Pistol Daisy wasn't even 40,000 words. This book that I just published was 59,000 words. So hitting 40K in book 2 really feels like I am drawing nearer to the end. I am just about to write the kind of power within beat, and I'm pulling that from Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I'll have that link down below if you are interested in picking up that book. It's been very helpful to me as somebody who struggles with outlining and plotting stories. So I'm about to write The Power Within after that kind of all is lost and darkest moment downfall, and I'm very excited about it. So book 2 is coming along really well. My goal has been to finish it before November hits. And with me getting sick, I did not write almost like at all while I was sick. I was just pretty much doing the minimum amount of work that I could every day for the business, and then lying on the couch reading other people's books for the rest of that time. And I've also picked up Assassin's Creed Odyssey yet again. But I don't know if I'm gonna finish this book by the 1st of November. I'm going to keep diligently kind of plugging away and doing the best I can. You know, some days I write 700 words, other days I write 1,500 words, and it's just kind of like a go with the flow process right now. But I know with absolute certainty, unless something super crazy happens in my life, I will finish this book by early November, because even if I'm not done with book 2 by the beginning of November, I'm then going to carry that into NaNoWriMo. I am going to participate in NaNoWriMo this year. I am going to aim for 50,000 words, and I'm also going to vlog as much as possible. So if you are participating in NaNoWriMo, make sure to stick around to watch those vlogs. And the Preptober workbook is out right now too, if you want a little bit of guidance in terms of prepping for Nano. That'll be linked down below. That is where I'm sitting. That is a bunch of information about the publication and release of my first ever paranormal romance novel. I hope you guys enjoyed sitting down and chatting with me. I can't remember the last time I did a full sit down and talk video. This is something that I used to love doing, and I've definitely slowed down with it. I don't do these very often. Leave any questions you have down below. I will answer them to the best of my ability, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everybody.